What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 squeeze stocks to add to your watch list for this upcoming week. So I'm going to go over all that, but first make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. With that said, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points. So on Wednesday, the 20th, this is where the Feds are going to be making another interest rate decision. I think it's a fair assumption that they're not going to do all that much. Of course, there's no real justified reason for them to increase nor decrease, but what is said afterwards, that is going to dictate what happens to the broader market over the next several weeks. There has been a lot of optimism as far as when the rate cuts are going to be occurring, and I think the estimates right now that it's going to be July, but still, whatever is said here is going to dictate what happens with the broader market. And if positive and kind of pointing to that it is going to be somewhat sooner, the market is going to run, really helping a lot of the stocks I'm going to be talking on. Fear and greed index right now is at 70, so naturally people's appetite for risk is still there. Even last week though, it was all over the place. I think it started out 79, had a low of 64, so it's going to be a very volatile time, and no doubtably this upcoming week will be no different. As far as companies unveiling their earnings, there's a lot of big companies that you should pay attention to, but none of which that is going to disrupt the broader market, if negative. So that's just my own opinion, but still let's move on to stock number 5. So again, this is based on short interest. So stock number 5 is Upow. So I did talk on them, I think it was 2 weeks ago or something like that. Ticker is UCAR. On Friday went up 17.6%, over the last 1 week down 5.52%, and over the last 6 months down 98.72%. Very low market cap, so 2.88 million. This is what they do, so you can always pause it, read through it. I have vetted all these companies to ensure that they haven't done any reverse stock splits within the last 2 weeks, because that does typically skew Vortex's numbers. So you can always just take a look at right here. So they have not done any reverse stock splits. And nor has any of these companies done any issuances, because obviously outstanding share count does affect the short interest through that ratio and everything. So again, I've kind of vetted all these companies. On a side note, if you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, such as press releases, SEC filings, everything under the sun to make yourself a better investor, take a look at Seeking Alpha Premium. I do have a 7-day free trial for you guys in the description below. Highly recommend you guys using this. Has a lot of good information. But getting right to it. So on Friday, shorts did return 262,000 shares. 64.3% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 2.17 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 15.49, and utilization is 26.35, and short score is 64.8. So this stock definitely is very heavily shorted, and plus on the technicals it is looking somewhat okay, so it's just wedge bound between the 50 and 100-day moving averages. So all in all, if good data does come out, aka the Feds, this stock could actually have a very nice run up, so something to kind of consider. But moving on to stock number 4, HOLO and microcloud hologram. So on Friday went down 3.02%, over the last 1 year down 70.23. It has pulled back quite considerably ever since it had the spike, and I actually did do a video on hologram when it was at I think 57 or high 50s, and I said exactly that is going to pull back easily to that $6 to $10 range. And lo and behold, there we are. Looking here, in case you're curious on what they do, so you can pause that and read it. But again, it's because of these numbers. That's why it's on this list. Friday, the shorts didn't really do all that much. 71.15% of the free float is being shorted, and that does work out to be 675.96 thousand shares. So relatively low float. Cost to borrow average is 230.42%. And on the actual chart, similar nature, it's kind of right below very heavy resistance. So in theory, good news, it could really push it higher. So again, that's something to kind of consider. Bowlero, so stock number 3, ticker is BOWL, very popular one among retail. On Friday it went down 3.44%. Year to date, so in 2024, down 9%, and over the last 1 year down 18%. So over the last little bit it's actually maintained the price level, so of course that's kind of a good thing. And plus on the last 2 runs, it has really flexed and shown its ability that it can go up, so that's kind of a good thing. Just read this is what they do. But right here, so 74.31% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 16.07 million shares overall being shorted. Cost of our average is 16.67. Friday, shorts returned 126,000 shares, and utilization is 90.83. On a side note, if you do have any questions about any of this information, let me know in the comments below. One thing to point out, 16.07 million shares overall are being shorted, but only 10.73 million shares are on loan. So essentially, there is a lot of naked shorting that is happening. And this company has been pulling back and consolidating, but still that does give a lot of good opportunity. So with some good news, it can have a very similar breakout to what has happened in the past once it's kind of sitting on that 50-day moving average right now. So I think all in all, this stock is very, very interesting and could have a nice run. Moving on to stock number 2, another very popular retail one. So RILY Financial, tickers RILY. Friday, it went up slightly. After hours, it went down 11%, and that is because of this. So it looks like they're still working on the 10K. So not the best information based on that. This is what they do. So pause it, read through that. And as far as seasonality, so with us being in March, historically over the last 10 years, it has gone down 3.9%, but still similar to Bowlero, it has proven and shown in the past that it can go up. So it's not like it's a dead stock or anything like that. It has gone through a lot of pains over the last little bit, but beside the point, shorts have taken advantage of that, as you can kind of see. So 78.6% of the free float being shorted. Shorts returned about 100,000 shares on Friday. 12.75 million shares overall are being shorted. It is on the threshold list, and it has been on the threshold list, it looks like, consecutively since looks like March the 7th, give or take. So if a company is on the threshold list for 13 consecutive trading days, this is where in theory the SEC should step in and interject and get the market makers to close out some of their positions. Whether they do that or not, I don't think so, but what do I know, right? I'm not a financial advisor. Cost to borrow average is 115.14%, and utilization is 100%. On the chart for RILY, it is looking somewhat more negative. So over the last little bit, because of it consolidating, it has transitioned from the higher to the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, as well kind of broke that 50-day moving average. So their technicals, not really the best, but similarly, like I mentioned, if they do signal that rates might be coming sooner rather than later, this stock could have a very nice pop up. So again, take that all with a grain of salt. Moving on to good old stock number 1, based on the short interest, that is this. So this stock has never been on this list whatsoever before, and that is Notable Labs, tickers NTBL. Friday, it went down 1.26%. After hours, it kind of made that up though. Over the last 1 year, down 69.69%, and then 2024 down 16.93%. Market cap 14.16 million, so relatively low. Seasonality down 2.4% historically for May over the last 9 years. This is what they do. So based out of the States, biotech company. But again, it's the short interest, and that's why it's on here. So 81.88% of the free float is being shorted. Very low float, so 81.47 thousand shares overall are being shorted. On Friday, shorts did return a grand total of 162 or 163 shares. Cost to borrow average is 17.16%, and then utilization is 51.56. So I did have to double check this just to ensure that it wasn't like had a reverse stock split, because normally a company just doesn't come out of left field just to make stock number 1. So kind of interesting. As far as this though, on the technicals, it's looking somewhat okay. Nothing really crazy to write home about, so it is looking very optimistic somewhat. Of course, very low volume, so that's something to consider. So all in all, let me know your thoughts on these top 5 squeeze stocks based on the short interest. What other stocks kind of float your boat, or do you think is going to have a good squeeze this upcoming week? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. But one final thing I just wanted to share with you, take advantage of this kick-ass promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, so take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.